Hello YouTube, my name is Savior200, I think I said 2 zeros, 3 zeros, is Savior20061, Christopher Jones, and my review for today is about, it's about the book. I got like a huge triple threat book from Barnes & Noble. I'm doing a review on the first story, Carrie. And Carrie was the first book ever written by Stephen King. He had almost thrown it out because it was originally supposed to be a short story, and when it was too long, he almost threw it out. But his wife Tabitha actually grabbed it out of the garbage and shoved it back into his face and told him to complete it, and so he did. And so then that's how we see the great author that we see today, that we all love so much. Anyway, Carrie is a story about a 17-year-old girl. I think she's 17 in the book. Her name is Carrie White. I think her full name is Carrietta. I have no idea. I think it might just be Carrie White. And the interesting thing about Carrie White is that she has telekinetic powers. And this is interesting because telekinetic powers is something that we will continue to see in other Kuntz novels like The Cell, and I believe Tommyknockers was another example. That one had more telepathy. There's even more telepathy, in my opinion. Telepathy all over the freaking place. And anyway, a story about this young woman, 17 years old, who starts developing these type of telekinetic powers after she has her first menstrual period at the age of 17. The whole, let me just go on to the plot. The plot is interesting. Basically, we see this woman who essentially has no power. All of a sudden, she starts getting a lot of power because in the book, Carrie is just this dorky kid. None of the women respect her. None of the boys want her. She's basically a loser. She's considered a loser. And all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, she starts to develop immense power. And unlike some characters with like telekinetic power, she realizes this quickly, at least as far as the story is concerned. As soon as she starts to really notice it, thinks she's using it. And it's kind of interesting because I write my own books. I've actually written 2 so far. It's kind of got a similar thing where this kid with no power all of a sudden has a great deal of power, and it's kind of terrifying because, like I said, she's considered a loser. And what happens when you give a loser power? Well, you have something like Columbine. You have something like Virginia Tech. When you have these antisocial people who are considered losers, all of a sudden getting a great deal of power. And the plot basically goes is she starts getting a dress for the prom, and her mother doesn't like it. Her mother's uber religious. She uses her telekinetic abilities to frighten her mother, and she ends up getting a date, almost like a pity date, from a kid named Tommy Ross, I think it is. And this is done as a way to gain to redeem Tommy Ross's girlfriend, Susan Snell, for making fun of her Carrie when she had her period at the end of when she had her period in the bathroom. I don't know why I said at the end of, because it's no at the end of anything. Okay, and that's the plot. That's all the plot I'm going to tell you. It's fairly interesting plot. It's pretty short, as 150 some pages, I think. I'm not going to even bother to check. And it was a fairly short story, so it's not gonna keep you back or anything. It is light reading, and basically interdispersed between the current narrative, we actually get things like news clippings. We get things like analysis from professors about what Carrie ends up doing at the end, which is a fairly horrible thing, of course, being a Stephen King novel. Okay. The characters are fairly good. I like them. There's nothing. They're not super fantastic the same way that the characters in Stephen King's It are, where they all really change over the course of 1,000 pages. It's a fairly short book, so I believe Carrie changes. She goes from being a fairly weak kid to kind of a sociopathic killer. Her mother doesn't change. She's still a religious freak at the beginning and at the end. Tommy Ross hasn't changed. He's one of the main characters. Chris Hagginson, she's one of the antagonists. She doesn't change. Billy Nolan, he was kind of weird because at first he seemed like his girlfriend, Chris Hagginson, and towards the end of the book, towards the end of the very short book, he didn't seem to care about her at all, and then started abusing her, and that was kind of weird because part of the entire reason for the prank done against Carrie is because Chris Hagginson told him to do it. And so all of a sudden he doesn't care about her at all, but well, this is his first book, so there you go. And so the climax is fairly climactic. I kind of knew what was going to happen because I saw the movie, so any of you that see the movie, it's essentially the same thing. This isn't like Silent Hill, where the movie had nothing to do with the video game, or like A Prayer for Owen Meany, where the movie, which had a completely different title, had nothing to do with the book either. This is what have I not covered? All in all, it's a fairly exciting read for Stephen King's first effort. It's a good effort, better than most. It's better than Twilight, that goes without saying. This really showed that he had what it took to be a full-time writer in America. And it's a good thing too, because he's given us a lot of great books from there on in. He's given us The Stand, he's given us It, he's given us Needful Things, The Shining. Needful Things was my favorite for a very long time. A lot of people don't like it. I liked it better than The Shining, honestly, because the climax was epic. And so, Stephen King's Carrie. As you can see, I'll be doing Salem's Lot, and I'll be doing The Shining afterwards. Hopefully I'll get on it soon. As I've said before, I'm kind of a slow reader. I got this weird thing where when it comes to reading books, yeah, you know. So, see you later, YouTube.